All right, what's up, everyone? This is Osmo.com's Hit the Ice. We got a three-game slate to talk about for this Wednesday night slate of games. I'm here, as always, with Homer Cleese, Steve Bauer, one of the top DFS minds in all of NHL DFS. Steve, how are you doing? How did last night go?
I'm not too bad, but last night was pretty ugly. I went kind of underweight on that last game, the Stars and Leafs game, and it blew up. So yeah, my night didn't go so well.
Yeah, me too.
But
Uh,
yeah, looking to improve.
yeah, certainly could be better. Those Sharks lines, if I would have known that Kane and Pavelski were together, that would have changed a lot. But I didn't
Yep.
see anything before lock. The game was delayed. I don't know what they were
Yeah,
doing over there, but and
I
then
think it was the Flyers home opener. So you get a lot of those ceremonies at the start for everyone's home opener.
yeah, you're right. Must have been that. But frustrating nonetheless because I would have for sure been on Pavelski and Kane had we known
Yep.
that those guys are going to be together. But anyways,
Yeah,
um,
I heard rumors that they might not start the game the same way with the same line combos as before, but they didn't allude to what they were going to be.
right, yeah.
And I couldn't find anything online. The Sharks Twitter feed kept, they keep retweeting the same graphic every game. It's the same line combo, so can't really read into any of that.
Right.
But yeah, there's no info on that.
Yeah. So frustrating night. I had enough Sagan, but I just didn't get there with really any of my lineups. The 4-3-1 was kind of what you needed, and I
Yeah,
did not have that. I was not
yeah,
running
same.
4-3-1, so I knew it was done pretty quick. For today, we've got three games. As you guys can probably see, if you are in chat right now, you can see that got Fantasy Cruncher up. I've also got the lineup builder tool that I'm going to debut here. I don't know yet that it's on the site, but it should be up in the next couple of days. We're just trying to work out some kinks. The guys behind the scenes are working really hard to get an NHL lineup builder. I know a lot of you guys liked it for MLB and NFL especially, so still available for those, but I really wanted the NHL tool, and it's going to be fun for hand building, which I'm doing about half and half MME and hand building, so definitely a tool that I'm going to be using quite a bit. Um, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm actually looking forward to digging into it myself.
Yeah,
Yeah, can't wait.
yeah, we'll mess around with it after we kind of go through these games, which shouldn't take too long, probably maybe 20 minutes to talk about these three games at most. And then we'll spend the rest of the time just kind of taking requests from chat, what they want to see on Fantasy Cruncher. We'll run some crunches and see kind of what sticks out to us as well. Let's just get right into it quick. Get the, what should we call it? Get the business out of the way here and talk these three games. We'll start with Philadelphia and Ottawa. This game locks at 7:30 Eastern, so you got an extra half hour. If you're getting home from work or whatever, you got an extra half hour of research to build lineups, mess around with Cruncher, whatever it is. Calvin Pickard going up against Craig Anderson. We've got this Philly team on the road back-to-back. Disappointed greatly last night. They were in a lot of my lineups, and they failed me pretty greatly. So what are you doing here with
Yeah.
Philadelphia? We saw a team, actually the team that Philadelphia was playing last night, San Jose, come off a bad loss and just smoke them. So do you think they
Yep.
could repeat here? Do you think they could do what San Jose did to them to Ottawa?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. They're probably going to feel pretty embarrassed last night. Their home opener, they get destroyed, just absolutely blown out. So, yeah, I would expect a bounce back here from them for sure. And yeah, the top line would be the first place to look, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the line that I'm looking at for sure. They've got good possession numbers together going back to the start of last year. They haven't played a ton together, but I mean, three guys that should mesh pretty well. And I don't see any sort of matchup that Ottawa could put up against them that would scare me at all. I think they have the advantage against all four
Yeah.
lines for Ottawa. I'm thinking right now it might be the Zach Smith line going up against Philadelphia 1, but even if it's Duchesne, even if it's the Tierney line, none of those lines are really going to strike fear into me. So
Yeah.
a lot of Philadelphia 1 here for you as well.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Especially when we have Washington on the slate as well. I think that an expensive line one in Philly will, they're not going to be chalk because of Washington's presence. So, yeah, they become appealing that way for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. I'm trying to get away from Washington as much as I can. I mean, if I end up going with like 50 lineups tonight, I probably will come in well under the field on Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, and even that Backstrom line too. They really worried me against Pittsburgh. I know it was a back-to-back there, but like I think people are just going to remember they've scored a bunch of goals in their first 2 games, and that's going to be the mega chalk. And people want Vegas to regress, so we'll get there in a second. But so Philadelphia won. Do you have any interest in the depth lines for Philadelphia or anything on Ottawa side?
Yeah, there'll be sprinkles for me. Just try to take a look at last night's game and see how the depth lines did, but they're pretty much the whole team got spanked last night. Really, no one did much on offense in the way for Philly, so it's hard to go off their new line combos and to read much into that.
I know the second line was decent, the Patrick line, but that's really about all I could take away from that game. I didn't watch it. I just I was away from my computer. I was away from my TV for a while after lock, and I just was kind of checking the score and. I don't know. Did they get dominated? I mean,
well, they didn't really do the Konechny Lindblom line.
Yeah.
Patrick. Yeah, it looks like they had about 10 shot attempts for, 10 against. So maybe 11. So they were slightly positive, but they didn't really generate too much. And then the Sharks are a good 5-on-5 team, right? So they're hard to get anything going against at 5-on-5. So I'm not too surprised there. I think Ottawa is a much more favorable matchup, especially their depth lines, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing special there. So I'm willing to look to the depth lines on Philly for sure. More in MME stuff, I think.
Yeah, it would be an MME play for me. Philadelphia's top line is my main priority. I probably won't have a ton of either the second or the third line. Go ahead.
Someone like Simmons is interesting as a one-off or something like that because he does play on that top power play unit with those guys. So maybe he gets the easier matchups at 5-on-5 and gets the power play exposure to those guys as well. So if you weren't on Philly, Simmons is a good one-off to have in there if you didn't want to full stack them.
Yeah, I like it. Or you could go mini stack with Simmons and Goss to spare. Hope you get a couple points on the power play with those two hooking up. The other guy we should talk about on the blue line for Philadelphia is Provorov. He's 4,900, going to come in at lower ownership, I would assume, than Goss to spare. A guy that has very good peripherals. He does shoot it quite a bit. But he's really all I have for Philadelphia. There's not a ton of punt defensemen here on this slate, which you would like to have. But yeah, I don't really see anything else on this Philadelphia side. What about Ottawa for you?
Yeah, so Ottawa's interesting too because Philly is on the back-to-back. They're playing Pickard for the first time. And, goalies can sometimes have a tough time adjusting to new teams. I've heard them say this in the past that, you got to get used to working with new defensemen and stuff like that. So it is tough to just step into a new team for someone like Pickard. So I think there is room for Ottawa here for sure. And their defensemen are kind of tough to figure out. They've had it looks like Thomas Chabot is now on the top power play unit. I don't know how accurate that is, but he's been probably their highest usage player so far, and I believe he's still cheap. Let me just see his current price here.
Yeah, he's
5,300. Wow. Man. Okay, forget about that.
No, I thought he was cheap too. I guess I haven't really messed around with lineups too much today, but wow.
But I mean, his usage has been up there as a $5,300 player. If you look at his minutes, he's been 20, 21, 22 minutes a night, and
almost 22 minutes per game. I mean, not much more you could ask for. The price is a little steep for a guy that doesn't have much name value, so low ownership there. But man, 5,300 for Thomas Chabot is interesting 3 games into the season.
Yeah, very, very. That's a quick adjustment there.
Yeah, especially when you see guys like Brent Burns at 6,300 like last night. And of course, the night that San Jose scores 8 goals, he gets nothing. I think he had like 3.5 on DK.
Wild, yeah. I didn't see that. Like the other 2 guys, maybe you can get some value here is Maxime Lajoie and Cody Ceci. Those guys are playing decent minutes as well, and they're still cheap.
Okay.
Lajoie is playing on the second power play unit. He had a couple of good games to start the year. 8 shots on goal through 3 games, which is pretty good for a rookie defenseman.
Is that
the block shots are up there too as well. So he's not a bad floor play.
Is that the Lajoie? Is that who you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, Maxime Lajoie. Yeah,
okay.
he's if you look at his blocks numbers, that's pretty good. His peripherals are really good.
Got it. All right.
So I don't mind him or Ceci for that floor type of play.
For sure.
If you really just need a guy in that price range and there's not much upside, then I like guys like that maybe.
Yeah, I mean anything goes on the 3-gamer. So if you can't get up to Shabbat,
sure.
it's gonna be pretty tough to do. With Gostisbehere and Pro Ruff right on the other side that are right around his price as well. Any strong leans as far as the lines, like full line stacks on Ottawa? I mean, I'd like to get Mark Stone in there, but I don't want
that looks like the best line. Zingel's been their best player.
Yeah.
Or at least their best offensive guy.
He's probably someone to keep an eye on. I know he didn't skate this morning.
Game time decision, right?
Yeah, he didn't skate this morning. He was a game time decision on Monday. That was in the afternoon game. I bumped him down, and he had a bunch of points. So that was a bit of a frustrating start for me for the NHL DFS season. But that variance will hopefully even out as the season goes on and make enough good plays where find myself in good spots. Dylan DeMello is 3,100. He is not listed on the power play right now on Daily Faceoff. I don't know if that's going to stick. He was listed on there for the last game or maybe 2 games ago, but
it's hard to tell. It looks like they've been rotating a lot, right? Looking through their different game logs, it's been a different guy in every spot.
For sure. Yeah, so who knows? Shabbat's probably the safest one, but you're paying the price for him.
Ottawa in general is a tough team. They don't really have a great set of beat writers. They're hard to get quality information on.
Yeah. Speaking of bad quality information, we'll talk about that in the last game. But man, this is going to be a weird slate, I'm sure. Hopefully not too many last minute changes. Picard 7,900, Craig Anderson 7,200. Anderson should see a lot of shots. He's probably the guy that I'd want in a one-off situation, but with having a bunch of lineups tonight, I'm probably going to have exposure to every single goalie on this slate.
Yeah. I mean, if you're MMEing, I wouldn't rule anybody out in net. There's only 6 goalies, so you never know who's going to stand on their head.
Yeah.
Look at last night, Mike Smith.
Oh God. Yeah, that was another one too.
I should have factored him into that kind of category of being peppered and the kind of goalie that can stand on his head when he's being peppered. He did that several times last couple seasons, so.
Is that just a rhythm thing?
I think so. He's much better when he's seeing a lot of shots. He didn't have a great start. He was facing only 20 shots a game in the 2 games against Vancouver.
Right.
So, I don't know. He's the kind of guy, he could get blown up or have a masterpiece like last night. So,
yeah.
Types of guys you want to keep in mind for GPPs going forward, just in general.
For sure. All right, let's go to the next game. Vegas at the defending champs in Washington, D.C. I think the main talking point here is going to be the Ovechkin-Kuznetsov combo. They are expensive, but if you're not going to another team's top line, I would have to assume this is a really logical place for people to go. I don't really like Connolly, so I'm going to stay away, I think, from the full stack. I think Connolly's going to come in over-owned for being a $4,700 player, but that's really all I have. I can't say that the Ovechkin line's a bad play or anything. They're going to get the second line for Vegas. And that line is missing Paul Stastny. So, I don't know. What's your read on this game overall? Do you see any great GPP spots?
Well, the Vegas top line, I believe you mentioned that in your article as well. They were great against Washington in the Stanley Cup Finals. We saw just about 4 or 5 months ago. That's one of the better lines in hockey. Still underrated line. They're likely to go overlooked tonight. They'll carry some ownership because they are a top line on a 3-game slate, but it's not going to be anywhere near the Washington ownership, I believe, and I think they should probably come in under Philly top line as well.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was at too. So I wrote them up, just like pulling up the article right now. It's free on Osmo.com, or you could just read it quickly right now if you're watching this. But they're just going to come in at lower ownership. They were one of the best lines in the NHL last year. And I don't think anything should have changed. I mean, these are three very good players, great possession stats last year. And then, as I kind of alluded to before, Washington gave up 22 high danger chances at 5-on-5 against the Penguins. And yes, it was on the back-to-back. But man, that Backstrom line was crushed by both lines, the Crosby and the Malkin line. It's an argument as to who's a better line in total. I would maybe argue that Vegas has a better line than both of those in total, but either way,
I would say so as well.
Yeah, it's just such a good ownership play on a short slate. Like, they're not going to be 5% owned, but let's say they're like 20 and the Ovechkin line's 40. I'm really comfortable with that, or 15 and 30, something like that. So yeah, I really do like the Vegas top line. That's going to be the majority of my exposure in this game, and I'm going to come in underweight again, or on full stacks for either of the top 6 for Washington.
Yeah, I agree with that. Someone like Marchessault he's a top option tonight for me.
Yep.
He's 4 shots on goal, 5 shots on goal, 5 shots on goal, just regularly. Very consistent floor there. Vegas has had a hard time scoring early in the year, so that's a bit of a worry, but that they could be focused on.
Yep.
With the lack of depth that they have right now with the injuries. But still, I still like that line a lot.
Yeah, and you can see a line like this that was this good last year carry them for a few games while Stastny's out. It's not like, we saw Colorado do it for the whole season basically last year.
Really, yeah.
So it's not like this line can't still be great. I don't know about the rest of these lines. I think Haula and Pacioretty are fine as like a mini stack, but that's really all I'm seeing.
I think Nozick is somewhat interesting as well. 3,200, and he's capable of scoring goals. He's had a few good games. He's an interesting GPP option there.
Yeah, probably going to get a boost in time on ice.
Yeah, because he's normally a 4th line kind of guy, right? But he's capable of stepping up, and he was a good player for them in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. Hockey sucks. Just reading chat, catching up here. FanDuel crunches with caps. I think we can probably make that happen. Let's see. Millionaire Maker. All right. Nothing too interesting in chat. What about this Eller, Burakovsky, Stevenson line? They're a line that, especially Eller and Burakovsky, Burakovsky just because he shoots a lot. On shorter slates, this is a line that I will look to just because they're never owned and they're always cheap and they usually get pretty good even strength matchups. So what do you think about that Washington third line?
I'm open to that. I didn't see a large sample size of them with Stevenson. I think, I obviously preferred that line when it's Conley there with the 3 of them. That can be a pretty deadly line for a third line. Eller's always in play, especially on a short slate. I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah,
that's one way to when you get a chalky spot like this, where one team appears to be the clear chalk favorites on a slate. Bumping down to the second or third line is often a pretty good strategy in this spot. So you still get exposure to the team, but you just find a different way to target it and attack it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love doing that. So that's why I want to drop down to this third line in at least a handful of lineups. Just because you got Eller and Burakovsky both on the second power play unit. They're not going to see a ton of time, but maybe they do get 30, 45 seconds. But yeah, maybe you get a matchup that you weren't expecting, and this third line ends up in more favorable spots than the top 2. So always good to think about those kind of things on short slates. What about the Backstrom, Oshie, Verana line? This is one that's started red hot in Boston. You saw it. I mean, I wouldn't expect them to do a ton of damage here against the Karlsson line. I mean, is that your read that they're going to go up against the Karlsson line? Yeah,
that's what they did in the Stanley Cup Finals. So,
oh yeah,
it would for me. It's the top line of the Caps, first or third line for the Caps, and mainly the first line for Vegas. Although I will take a few shots on the second line. The
Okay.
third line does not appeal to me at all. Um, Eakin, Carpenter, and Lindbergh. Yeah, that doesn't really scream offense to me. So I'm probably not going to have any of them in MME formats.
Yeah, for sure. So Nozek, is he on the top power play? Is that what you're seeing for Vegas?
That's what they're showing.
Okay.
I don't know how accurate that is.
Yeah, I'm seeing him at a couple different spots, so I just wanted to recheck
Yeah.
that with you.
That's
Uh,
something I'm going to look into in depth with the beat writers. See if I can find anything. I know
okay.
it's kind of hard sometimes with Vegas as far as getting information.
Yeah. And then Colin Miller, quarterbacking the top power play. He's a guy that I like to play. He's going to see some ownership tonight just because he is on the top power play and he's 4,300,
Yeah.
or at least he's listed there. I
Yeah,
don't.
looks like Nozick was on the power play last game, top power play unit.
Cool. All right. So we should expect to see him there until further
Yep.
notice, at least. Yeah. So Miller, Theodore, those are the two main options here for the Vegas blue line. I'm probably
And
not.
also last game they had Theodore on the top unit.
That's what I thought too. I thought I saw that from a beat
Yeah.
writer, so I was a little
Yeah.
confused on the Colin Miller top power play listing, but I didn't see if they changed anything up in practice this morning. I may have missed that. But yeah, I think either of those two guys are viable. It would just be nice to know who's going to slot in where because
For
that's
sure,
big for
yeah.
power play correlation.
For correlation exactly. So someone like Nozick becomes a lot more interesting to me now. He'll get that second line. He'll get that matchup against the Ovechkin line, which is not great defensively, and he gets top power play minutes. He gets exposure to the top line as well. That seems pretty solid
Yeah,
for
I like that.
3,200.
I like that a lot. You're talking
Yeah.
me into some Tomas Nozek.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys are playing cash games on the 3-game slate, if you guys are getting crazy like that, he's a guy that I would fire in there. I think
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I'd consider. Yeah,
For sure. Blue line on the Washington side. You've got Orlov, Niskanen. That's going to be the shutdown pairing, I would assume.
Yeah.
And then you've
Yeah.
got Michael Kempney slotting back in with John Carlson, who is 6,900. That is pretty expensive. Most expensive
Yeah, it's
D-man on
pricey.
the slate.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, he's been pretty good so far this year. 28 minutes last game, 24 the first game. He's got 7 DraftKings points and 8.5 DraftKings points in his 2 games. So
Yeah. This is
yeah,
definitely.
DraftKings is quick to react this year on pricing.
Yeah, I mean that's good to see, right? Because then value opens up. They're reacting the other way, right? With like Philadelphia being pretty low priced. You've got this Vegas top line being relatively low priced. We saw them up around 21K in total at times last year,
Yeah.
which is absurd to play them for basically 2K less now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be Carlson for me. I mean, if Orlov and Niskanen end up in any of my lineups, that's fine. Or if you want to pair him with Niskanen and Burakovsky, hope for some power play time on the second unit, then that's fine. But it's going to be mostly Carlson, Ovechkin, Kuznetsov. How popular is that trio going to be, do you think?
Fairly popular, but I think that's not, it's not someone I would avoid. I wouldn't leave them out of lineups completely. I would just be very conscious of not playing other popular plays with them, trying to get a little bit more creative in lineups where you have those 3.
Yeah. Okay. That's perfect. I would agree with that.
Because right now, looking at the list of defensemen tonight, Carlson is by far the top option. You have some other reasonable choices like Gostisbehere and I guess Ekman Larson, someone like that, Theodore Miller, guys along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carlson stands out as being by far the top option. So he's hard to go away from if you get the money.
I would agree. All right, let's move it on. Oh wait, goalies in this game. You have a strong stance on either one of them. It's mostly going to be just correlation with me. I'm probably correlating in every lineup. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Fleury isn't appealing in a vacuum, but if you're not going to play Washington, Fleury makes for an interesting leverage play. Because if you're not playing Washington, you're hoping that they don't go off, in which case Fleury is, he's appealing there. But Holtby seems like one of the top goalie options tonight. Vegas has had a hard time scoring so far this year.
Yeah, I didn't see. Has Vegas gotten a lot of high danger chances? Because if they're getting shots but not high danger chances, that's exactly what you want out of your goalie. So I didn't know if you had that off the top of your head.
Their shot attempt numbers haven't been great, and their expected goals are pretty decent actually.
Oh, okay. So
did you see? No, they're mid pack. They're 10th. They're 10th in expected goals for, but not great in the shot attempts. So it doesn't seem like a great matchup there for Holtby.
Yep.
But he'd probably be my cash goalie tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I don't know.
Maybe Gibson actually. Let me see the price there.
I mean, I kind of like Arizona. We'll talk about that game in a second. But,
yeah.
I mean,
so on DraftKings, it would be Holtby at 7,800 for me.
Okay.
Over Gibson at 8,500.
Got it.
But on FanDuel, it would be the opposite.
What's Gibson on FanDuel?
He's maybe like the 4th or 5th price goalie. I gotta double check that.
Wow, that's
yeah.
I mean, he's just too talented. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would handle it like that on the two sites.
Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, let's go to the last game of the night, the one that we are going to need some more information on. Twitter is going to be crucial for this game leading up to the lock of this. So Arizona and Anaheim, 2.45 total for Arizona, 3.05 for Anaheim. We've got presumably Antti Ranta going for Arizona, and then John Gibson, as we just talked about, for Anaheim. Gibson is 8,500 here. He is a pretty sizable favorite. But I'm kind of on Arizona, specifically that top line, if we get clarity on who it is. Where are you at for this game? And
just look at that Ducks lineup. That's gross.
Oh, it's disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. You saw the first game. So these teams played a few days ago, and I think the Coyotes had 40-plus shots, and Gibson stood on his head and had a shutout. Amazing performance. The Ducks are getting smoked in terms of puck possession and shot quality and stuff like that. The Coyotes haven't scored a goal yet on the year, so they're a bit snake bitten. I think that they're going to break through one of these days, and this is a great opportunity to get them before they pop.
Yeah, I completely agree. Short slate too. People may just see the surface numbers. Maybe casuals know Gibson as a very good goalie. I just want to play Gibson, but I'm going to have more Arizona 1, I think, than,
So, you mean the Stepan line?
Yeah, Stepan. Yeah. Is that where you're at, or are you looking down to the, I don't know.
I think both of the top two lines are in play for me.
Okay.
I think, Keller seems to have the most offensive upside, him and Perlini. They have they're the best offensive players.
And go ahead.
I just think they have more upside in general. Stepan's probably the more reliable play, that line.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And so I wrote on the article today, I was assuming it was going to be Hinostroza. I saw something in an article, so I posted the link to that article at the bottom just to show, we may get Hinostroza on that top line. And they're about the same price, I think, on DraftKings. So what I would do when making lineups, and Cruncher has Pierlini listed on the top line, so he's the more expensive. So you could just global swap if you're MMEing Pierlini to Hinostroza if we get word that Hinostroza is actually on the top line. So just wanted to note that. I don't think they're that bad. They shouldn't have 0 goals for sure.
No, they're not bad. I mean, they're missing a few offensive guys due to injury, so that kind of hurts them a little bit. Some talent, but they should still be able to score goals.
Yeah. So I don't think they get shut out for a third straight time here.
I think they just ran into some really hot goalies more than anything.
Yeah, that's kind of frustrating. They're going to see one, maybe one of the 3 best goalies in the NHL right now.
I think Gibson is one of the top guys.
Yeah. And then looking at these Ducks lines, I know they got jumbled up a little bit. So we're gonna see Comtois, Steele, and Silfverberg, and then
So one thing to add there, another thing to keep an eye on is that Kessler's a possibility for tonight.
Yep. that was kind of a surprise, right? I didn't think he was going to be ready this early.
Yeah. No, I didn't expect him anytime soon.
And then Getzlaf, did you hear if he is out or is he day to day? I didn't know if he was still a game time decision. I haven't looked. Since
I believe he's out. Well, let's double check the latest.
Okay.
You know, it's tough on these West Coast teams to get information, but
yeah.
Here's the deal on Kessler for the Ducks. He hasn't been medically cleared to play yet, but that could come later today. Best way to describe his status is that he's a game time decision tonight, pending medical clearance.
Okay.
See if I can find anything on Getzlaf.
Yeah, Getzlaf. I mean, does it change anything for you? I mean, Getzlaf would move the needle for me a little bit for Anaheim.
So what they said is Kessler was skating between Cogliano and Sherwood on the third line if he plays. So it won't change. It shouldn't change the top six for them.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
So, yeah, that is good to know. Now you can make lineups without having to worry about that.
Yeah, that's nice. Would you assume that Kessler goes right back into that shutdown role? I mean, he was pretty terrible at it.
Not in the first. Yeah. Well, yeah, so he was pretty bad, but I think a lot of that had to do is he was coming off a pretty big surgery.
Yeah.
I think it was a hip surgery or something like that. And it's hard to be back to what you're doing when that happens. They were a pretty reliable line the previous year.
Yep.
So, I was going to give him a chance this year, but he's coming off another injury, so.
Right. Yeah. And there's no real data with Sherwood. There's not a ton of data on this game overall besides Stepan and Panik together, but man, that's why, and then we've got line combinations that may or may not be true. This one's tough. So are you looking to PP stack here? I don't see a great power play spot on either side. I know the Ducks commit a lot of penalties, but that's really it.
Yeah, this is pretty gross. There's nothing really appealing. I mean, maybe you can just go. Like I liked Comtois with Silverberg and Henrique. I like that as a line. That was really good. But now that they're split up, it kind of hurts that. Maybe just do pairs there. Raquel and Henrique and Silverberg are the most appealing players, obviously, there. And then you can do some kind of power play stack. It looks like Steele's on the top power play unit last game after Getzlaf was out. So
okay.
That's a good spot for him. Maybe you can do Silverberg and Steele or Henrique and Raquel.
Yeah. Get that power play correlation there. Henrique and Raquel, that's a nice duo there, but not all that cheap with Henrique at 6K.
No.
All right, yeah.
That's tricky. The Ducks in general just aren't that appealing tonight to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. So it's going to be mini stacking if I end up there. What do you think of?
So they're going to score 8 goals now, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's the way it goes, especially early in the season.
Yeah. It looks like that top line got pounded by that Larkin line last game.
Yeah, they did.
Even the second line.
Are you talking about Henrique, Silverberg, Comtois?
Yeah.
That's what I was looking at too.
So this is 2 days in a row we've been looking at some of that data against the Larkin line, and that line's been pretty good. So that's something to keep in mind for future slates.
And just thinking about that right now, I think they switched their lines around this morning.
The Wings?
Yeah. Larkin was not with Nyquist, I believe.
Great. Abdicator, great.
Yeah. Abdicator. It was.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's just, God.
Detroit. They really want to get that first overall pick.
That must be it. Yeah, you got to break this lineup.
This line's too good. We have to fix it.
Yeah. So I did see that this morning. I kind of chuckled to myself. Wow. Arizona 0-4 last 2 years against Gibson. Does that mean anything to you?
It's something in the back of my mind. I mean, it's not actionable data, but I do tend to keep an eye on that stuff early in the season when we don't have a lot of data on the current year.
Okay.
Maybe any slight reason to go away from the public or something.
Sure. No,
it just gives you reasoning. I don't know.
Worth noting at the very least.
Yeah.
Blue line here. I mean, good luck figuring out the Ducks. Lindholm's not a guy I want to play for 4,700. Fowler's 5,500. I don't like that when you can get Gossespierre for $200 more. You can get you can just pay all the way up to Carlson or get one of the Vegas guys on the power play. I'd rather have Ekman Larson. Jason Demers is 2,800, and he's on top pairing with Ekman Larson, so I kind of like that. What are you looking at for defensemen here?
Yeah, Ekman Larson obviously seems like a great play. I think, yeah, Demers is fine. He's a fine option. I don't think he's a spectacular option. Goligoski has more of the offensive upside. I think Demers is probably a decent floor type of play.
Yeah, for sure. Just $2,800 punt. Like if you're trying to jam in Vegas 1 and Philadelphia 1 or something like that, I know that's something people are going to
totally
do.
Fine.
So.
And he's playing over 20 minutes. He's playing 22, 23 minutes a game so far.
Yep.
And then Connaughton, I guess, is there too. He's probably, he's got a better floor so far, I guess. But
we got up to 20 minutes last game. So they're splitting those defensemen for Arizona pretty well, it looks like.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe Connaughton is in play as well for 2,800, but he is not listed on the power play is the only issue.
So Demers is totally fine at 2,800 there.
All right. Ranta, Gibson, huge pricing discrepancy. I mean, Ranta's going to pop in a bunch of models, I think, just because he's cheap. He's not that big of an underdog, and he's capable of having good performances. I don't know how many shots either of these guys are going to see.
So Gibson last game against them, we saw, 41.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You saw 41 and Ranta saw about 20.
Wow. So
I think we can see maybe similar. I wouldn't expect the same shot volume this game, but I think that Gibson's definitely going to see more. I think they're priced about where their shot volume is going to be.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. It's just going to be correlating goalies for me as much as possible. Let's go over to Cruncher and just kind of play around, do some standard settings. And all right, this is right on Osmo.com. You can go right here, click on DraftKings if you have the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. We're just going to use Fantasy Cruncher's projections. We'll do 49,000 minimum. Short slate, so I'd maybe do like 2 or 3 uniques.
I think that's fine on the short slate.
Yeah. How do you want to do it? You just want to run the classic 4-3-1? Do you want to try some power play stacks maybe?
Yeah, I think on the short slate, that's where I'm more likely to do power play stacks. Okay. I mean, you obviously want to be creative, but we can just do some basic stuff here.
Sure.
Maybe we can mix in either just some 3-man forward stacks, just some basic stuff, or you could do like a 4-man power play stack, like do like a 4-man power play stack with a 3-man forward line stack or something like that.
With a 3-man forward line stack? All right.
Yeah, try something like that.
All right, we'll do 30 again. All right, let's run this. Let's see.
Just as a basic approach. I mean, you can obviously change. Anything goes on these shorter slates. You can 6-man stack a team. You can 5-man stack a team or whatever.
Yeah, I forgot to add in.
Yeah, the lines. Yeah.
I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of Ovechkin here. Yeah.
I would assume so. Yeah. What the defaults are.
Yeah, the problem with this though is like, okay, so you've got Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Ovechkin. Like, are you that confident you're going to be able to hit on the Ducks' third line with Cogliano and Sherwood? I'd much rather have a balanced approach on this slate. And you've got an underpriced Philadelphia one, you've got an underpriced Vegas one.
For sure.
You've got some value on Ottawa's side. I just much rather would go Arizona too. I just much rather go with a more balanced approach and get more good players than maybe a couple great ones and then a bunch of garbage after that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree because the cap. If you go with the heavy on the caps, it's really going to limit you to very cheap lines, second, third, third lines that are really cheap that don't really have a great chance of hitting. I mean, it's possible on a slate like this, but then there's only so many combos you can come up with and they'll probably be duplicated in a large field tournament.
For sure. Like if you're playing that $8, there's going to be guys that go super heavy on caps. They're going to have a ton of combinations. of power play one, top line, 6-man stacks, Josh stack, something like that. Yeah. So, all right, let's try a couple.
What do we have? Just look over some of the exposures, see what kind of guys are popping up here.
Yeah, so it's Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, top two. Ovechkin, Kuznetsov.
Maybe click on the team stacks there under the summary, just below the calculate 10 more.
Yeah, I did it. I think you're on a little bit of a delay.
Oh, okay, I'm just a bit behind. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just want to see what we're getting by default here.
We're getting no Arizona.
Yeah, very little. That's kind of surprising. They're not that expensive, are they?
Yeah. Is this a slate where you would want to leave salary on the table?
Yeah, I think so. Well, especially if you're going to do conventional stacks like this, it's something you can consider.
Yeah.
If you want to get a little creative, you want to do like a 3-3-2 or something different, I don't mind using up the salary that way. For
sure. I don't know. I'd probably, if I use 4,900 or 49,000 on DraftKings usually, if you do that, you're going to end up with so many Ovechkin one-offs. And it's just like, that's great, but you're playing to win. You've got to take the path of least resistance, or at least you'd like to do that. So it just gets dicey when you are doing that. You're restricting yourself with the actual combinations you can have. So it's not optimal per se, but usually an optimal looking lineup does not win tournaments.
Yeah, the optimal looking ones are the most popular usually, right?
Right, exactly. Like a cash lineup type of thing.
Yeah.
It happens once a month or so where a cash lineup will hit and bake everything, and you just got to move on to the next slate. All right, let's go to the...
take a look at some of the other teams we were talking about, like Philly one stacks and Vegas one stacks. What kind of lines are we getting with them?
Yeah, let's do it. So we got 4 popping up here. They'll pop up on your screen in a second.
Yep.
This is just this just looks so much better to me. In this top right one that you see, you should be able to see it right now. You've got Carlson,
Vegas and
Marchessault.
Philly,
Yeah, I love that.
That's nice. Yeah.
You probably take off maybe the least important guy in that top line.
They do have. Never mind. That's Kemper by default, but. Yeah, but either way, they're the same price there. I can't quite see; it's a bit blurry, but.
Ranta is 6,900. Kemper is 65. So, make sure you X out Kemper on Fantasy Cruncher, guys, because they haven't updated that just yet. But make sure you X out Kemper. You need McCormick and Dowd.
But it is still possible to do them. Yeah, because not all the salaries use that. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I like that. I mean, you can't. Can you even get any of those lines with the? I don't know. I guess with the Ovechkin line or Ovechkin power play line or something like that. I don't even think you can fit any of those lines.
Yeah, you're not. So
that automatically makes you different right off the bat.
Right. If you start with Vegas one or Philly one.
Yeah.
You're just going to be so much different. I think maybe the only top line you could do with the Ovechkin line is the Stepan Panik Pirlini. So, if you're making a ton of lineups, you could have some like that with both of those, but I would try to do one or the other. Just kind of think of it as a unique lineup construction, because that's what you need for a 3-game slate. It's not great odds that Ovechkin line and Arizona one line is going to be the nuts on a night like tonight. So power play stacking, 3-3-2, whatever you want to do to get different. I'm staying away from 4-3-1 again. I don't know about you, but that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, if I did, it would probably be specifically power play as the 4.
So you get the Nosek in there instead of
so like look at Washington there. If you go Kuznetsov, Oshie, Carlson, Ovechkin rather than the Connolly one, but I still think that'll probably be duplicated. Yeah. Even if you're going to do that, maybe maybe you can do Backstrom over Kuznetsov in that stack, like Backstrom, Oshie, Ovechkin.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, if you're gonna do these popular teams, these popular players, then have a unique, different correlation there.
100% agree. All right, let's pop on over to this NHL lineup builder that we are going to debut very soon. It's going to look something like this. you guys, if you played NHL or other sports, if you played NFL and MLB, we have this same thing. So right here, you've got the games, you've got the Flyers, Senators, you've got the grades next to each player. Those are Awesomo's grades. Go check those out. Those are a premium tool. He posts those every day around 4 Eastern, so before the show. So you can see that he does like the Flyers tonight, especially that top line. And yeah, a lot of value over on the Senator side. Actually, I don't think these are updated just yet, but everyone looks like a B and A.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you can hand build this way, and then you can export them right here. I'm just going to hand build and see what you can do with like a Flyers 1, Vegas 1, and see if that's even possible. So what I would do is just click on all these guys. Then I would go down to Vegas. You got 2 road teams too. I mean, road teams are usually lower owned in general than home teams in NHL DFS.
And they tend to be cheaper too.
For sure, yeah. Like cheap road goalies too is something that I have had a lot of success doing, just because they avoid an early exit. It's pretty fair that they're pretty certain that they're gonna have a decent floor at the very least, even if they don't get the win. So let's see. You've got 13,000 remaining. We're gonna need. Oh, this is on FanDuel. Let me do this on DraftKings. We're gonna clear that. Go over to DraftKings. All right. No, wait, that was on DraftKings before. 13K to go. What I would probably do is go with like a Ranta or someone just super cheap.
Someone that's not going to be popular.
Or like Fleury.
Yep.
I don't know. You could do that. But then you're only stuck with 55.
Maybe you can correlate with one of the stacks there. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, I'm trying to do Fleury, but.
Sure. Yeah.
Man.
And then 55 remaining. Okay, so not quite enough. I mean, it's doable, but
you could do. You would have to get like
cheap guys,
Merrill,
very cheap guys. Yeah.
And then go with like a Demers or Connaughton down here. And there you go. So that's kind of how it works. It spits out a GPA. You obviously want to get close to 4 as possible to be, according to Awesomo's grades. I don't know. This is a pretty fun tool, one that I'm going to use. It's a nice layout. You've got all the forwards up top, and then the defensemen are listed near the bottom. You've got the lines right here. You will have Awesomo's points grade, his value grade. The price is right there. Power play designation, if they have one. Really all the information you need, just like in your other sports. So I'm excited to use this. It should debut on the site in the next couple days while they work the kinks out. So look for that. It should probably come up right here under the other lineup builders. So it'll be somewhere right here. So just look for that in the next couple days. Oh, Tom's in chat. There we go. We'll add implied totals, he says. Nice. That's always nice to see. How much do you look at implied totals, Steve?
Not really myself when analyzing the games. It's more of an ownership thing.
Okay.
And I keep an eye on it, but they're not always accurate, especially early in the season. Maybe as you get further along in the year, they tend to be way more accurate.
Yeah.
So early season, there's so many changes going on that are hard to quantify. There's not enough data yet. There's not a big reason, but as we get further along, they tend to be way more accurate.
Yeah. I'm just messing around kind of while you're talking. Seeing if you can do a full Washington power play stack.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
17K left. So you probably have to go.
Ooh, that's tight.
Ranta.
Yeah.
And then you've got. Okay, you could go down.
Ranta, you could go. Yeah.
Merrill.
Nozick, maybe.
Oh, could you get
wing?
Nozick?
3,200.
32. There we go. And now we got 4,300 left. Man, maybe you don't even have to go down to Merrill, or you could go double defenseman if you go with Colin Miller. You got power play 1 exposure. Nosek and Colin Miller, if that's going to be the power play quarterback. And then you would have to punt your last spot with probably one of these defensemen down here. So it is doable.
It's reasonable. There's enough. Yeah. There's enough money left. That's interesting.
Yeah. I didn't even think that was going to be possible. I thought it was going to be, $1,500 per player left over. But
yeah, if you go something like Nozick and Demers with Ronta, you have 4,100 left over in your utility.
Yeah, so certainly doable.
Yeah.
Is this for FanDuel as well? Yeah, it's for FanDuel as well. We can mess around for Aaron. Chris Weidman is always a GPP sleeper. Won a few GPPs with that cat. Is that Boom in there? Is that Bobby Boom? I know Bobby. Any line you want to look at? Any line that's maybe a really good value on FanDuel that's popping for you?
Let me just see. I haven't been as up on the FanDuel pricing, but I'll just take a quick look here.
Man.
Like they haven't really adjusted their pricing. So a guy like Conley is still near min price.
Yeah, that was.
He's 3,700 still. Comtois is only 3,300. Zach Smith's 3,300.
I wonder if you could do.
You know, so there's a lot of the guys that were cheap to begin the year are still cheap. Yeah, so tons of value there. Ovechkin is super. Yeah, the Caps are super expensive there relative to the field. Carlson's not so bad compared to everybody else. He's the same price as Ghost.
Yeah, so let's see. I'm just messing around here right now. I've got Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Ovechkin with the entire third line, or I'm sorry, the entire second line for Vegas. Those guys are all wingers, but Nosek is 3,300. You've got Hall.
Same with the top line of Ottawa too. They're all wingers on FanDuel.
Really? Okay. So different construction on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make it more difficult with? Does that make it more difficult with Cruncher? I don't know how that works.
I think it depends on your constraints. You have to. It probably is easier if you allow power play stacks there,
right?
Or including defensemen in your stacks. It makes it a little bit more flexible.
Okay.
But if you rigidly try to stack 3 forwards from one even strength line with 3 forwards from another even strength line, you're probably going to have very minimal combinations there.
Got it. All right, so it can be done. It'll show up for you in a second. But so we got Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Ovechkin with John Carlson, the entire Vegas second line. Merrill just as a punt for $3,500. Then you put in Craig Anderson, who is, I believe he's a favorite. Is he not? Maybe he's not.
Yeah, are they? Let me see Cruncher.
He's a plus 110.
They're slight dogs. Yeah, pretty much even money, right?
Yeah. Actually, I'm seeing Philadelphia at minus 130.
Philly minus 110. I'm seeing.
Oh, you're saying minus 110? I'm saying minus 130.
Well, no, I'm just looking at. I just used the Cruncher pull down here. I don't have up to date.
Wow. That's a 6.5 total in Ottawa. That's pretty crazy.
Wow, 6.5. Yeah, I'm seeing Philly minus 130, 6.5 total. So yeah, Vegas likes Philly a lot.
Wow. Okay. What are
the Ducks are minus 162 at home in a 5.5.
Yeah. Man, that low total for Arizona does scare me a little bit. That's probably got a lot to do with Gibson more than anything.
That's good for us in GPPs though. I don't mind that.
Yeah. I mean, they were popping crazily, Arizona's top line.
Yeah.
For me this morning, just running an initial crunch with like not messing with any of the settings. So I'm going to be higher on the field on Arizona, but I'm probably going to bump them down. I had them at like 50%, which is ridiculous. There's really no need to do that when you're MMEing, but Tom K, what's the secret sauce tonight? Yeah, I would like to know that as well, Tom. It's obviously a very good NHL player. Anything else in chat that you see, or we could get out of here? We've been going for an hour.
I saw one quick comment. Someone was asking about the showdown slates earlier. Have you ever dabbled in that? I played it in the playoffs last year a little bit.
Yeah, in the playoffs. I played
advice
that.
about rostering a goalie or both goalies or no goalies. Yeah, I always found that I liked to include a goalie.
Me too.
Just one of them though. Yeah, I was a big fan of the 3-man power play stack in the playoffs with the goalie, and then just single cheap fillers.
That's exactly what I did basically.
Yeah.
I would usually end up with 5-1 stacks. So there's 6 positions. I would go 4 forwards or slash defenseman,
Yeah.
and just run it like a normal lineup, but just with 3 less spots.
Yeah. I think early in the season, with all the goal scoring we're seeing, I think you can consider no goalies in your lineups now. Once you get to the tighter stages of the season, I think goalie's a good piece to include.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. Looks like Tom is not playing tonight, so you guys better get in those contests.
Oh,
Tom
finally leaving some money for the rest of us.
Right?
I like it.
Yeah, us peasants. He won't be binking everything tonight. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Alex, is that confirmed, Tom? We could have probably talked about this offline, but Alex Osmo Baker is supposed to come on tomorrow with us talking some
Nice.
NHL, which is pretty exciting. So
Yeah,
I'll try to stumble through producing that and talking and being somewhat interesting. But yeah, that'll be pretty cool. We'll get to pick Alex's brain. I have a little bit off stream on NHL stuff, but yeah. So come with your questions for Alex. We'll be doing this around 4 Eastern tomorrow, unless if something changes there, we'll tweet it out from the osmo.com account. Any last words?
Not too much. Just, if you're going to play this 3-game slate, try to be unique. It doesn't mean you have to fade any of the highly owned players. Just try to be unique with those lineups. Find a different kind of correlation. Just don't do standard lineups with the popular guys.
Yep, just be different. Short slate, be different. Yep. All right, guys, check out the lineup builder. Check out Fantasy Cruncher on osmo.com. We've got the Spotlight Stacks article. We've got the power plays from VOTS. The Morning Skate update article from Nolan Kelly. That's very valuable. Keep an eye out on Twitter. If you're staying up late, make sure you confirm the Arizona and Anaheim lines. That could be quite a big edge later tonight. And good luck. See you tomorrow.